Hey, everybody, week 3, stress week. You're over the hump, right? You're over midway or right about there. I hope things are going smoothly for you. Week 3 is where you're an old pro, right? I mean, you know where everything is in the grocery store. You know what they all mean and what they all do. If you had carb flu or some kind of reactions to switching your diet completely, that should be done and over by now. Usually takes, I would say, even the hardest clients, only, about 2 weeks to kind of get their metabolism going and shifting and becoming a little bit more metabolically flexible. Doesn't mean you still don't have a long way to go, depending on your current state of health. Health isn't, made in a day. That's the thing, is that people come to me often, they're like, leading this lifestyle for, 20, 30 years, and then they expect to get better overnight. It is a journey. Believe me, as somebody who has battled autoimmunity for almost 20 years, it's a journey. So you have to just keep on keeping on, basically, and stick with it and keep always doing things to, start again the next day, improve your health, start another program and another. That's what keeps you moving forward. That's what all my successful clients do. It's not a one-off, it's not a diet, it's not a fad, it's a lifestyle, and that's what we are here to do. So it is Stress Week, and this is actually one of my favorite weeks. So I'm going to share my screen with you so we can dive right into the presentation and get started. What I don't want you guys doing is letting up at all, right? I mean, I think that stress, because it's a little bit more intangible, you don't physically see it like food, and it's not touchable like exercise, and it's hard to see the results or the problems that come along with it. People don't put enough emphasis on this week, and this week is very critical. I mean, I know firsthand that stress was a huge factor in my part in getting the onset of my autoimmune disease. I mean, I had just had a preemie baby born over 8 weeks early. It was during 9/11. Literally, she was in the NICU when that all happened. I was not sleeping. I went back to work right away, and I started training right away, and it was just too much for my body. And it was, the table that fell. So this is one that, again, 75 to 90% of doctor visits are stress related. So please take it seriously what I'm saying today, and know that this is an important part of your health. So the stress and energy connection. Yes, stress actually causes your body to do all those things in that chart. Even, short and long-term stress, but it actually causes your cells, to believe it or not, to kind of like breathe faster if you think about it. And this is wasting oxygen, wasting energy, and it kind of impacts them in terms of cellular aging, oxidation. So I don't know if you've heard me talk about oxidation before, but that just means cellular rusting. Our cells get under stress, can get old and kind of rusty, and we need them to do repair. So it also impacts our mood. I mean, anxiety, depression can definitely impact mitochondrial health. So there's kind of 3 stages of stress. So the first one is the alarm. When something happens, you're cut off in traffic, you almost hit somebody, you get that panic phone call. Those things are the alarm state. And in that state, actually, energy can go up, and it should, short term. So that's because of your stress hormones, your epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol, all cause like kind of burst of energy to help you deal with that stress. So that's stress, phase 1. Then we have phase 2, which is the resistance. When you kind of, your energy sources are depleted in your body, you can only sustain that intense stress for so long. And you start getting, discomfort, irritability maybe sets in a little bit, and some illness. And then we go to stage 3, where it's complete exhaustion. Now, this is your chronic long-term stress, and this is what leads to chronic long-term disease. So immediate stress, acute stress, sometimes necessary, right? Our body is built to handle that, and we have all the systems in place. But that chronic long-term stress, when we get to that phase, and we're absolutely exhausted and have exhausted all of our body systems, that's where the problem sets in. So we got to make sure that we're not letting it get to that state. That will lead to low energy, mood, health in general, and so many coping mechanisms as well. You know what? I'm going to turn on presenter mode. I didn't do that, so it's a little bit easier to see. There we go. Let's just skip ahead. The autonomic nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system, I'm going to talk about a few different systems here today. Actually 3 of them that kind of relate to stress. And these are things that you can, that our bodies have, and that we can track and measure and kind of optimize. So we do have control here. So the autonomic nervous system has two branches, and I think you've probably heard me say it, the sympathetic, the parasympathetic. So sympathetic, fight or flight, parasympathetic, rest and digest. Which one do you think most US citizens are in, especially the last few years? Got it, the sympathetic state. So this is our fight or flight state, and we are kind of chronically stuck in this state. So it might not even be, even when I ask my clients, how much stress they deal with, they're like, oh, some of them are like, not too much. I'm, just the regular. Well, our regular is not compared to years before. We are kind of overwhelmed with technology, information, money, jobs, kids. The to-do list is endless, and it's just the multi-sensory attack on us at all times is keeping most of us stuck in that sympathetic state. And we just haven't learned how to downshift anymore into that parasympathetic state. And again, the sympathetic state is when, if we're in that for a prolonged period of time, we are going to see the onset of illness, anxiety, depression, low mood. So we actively need to do something to switch into that parasympathetic system. I can actually feel my body when I'm in sympathetic mode switch to parasympathetic. When do I usually feel this? During my meditation that I try and do every afternoon. I almost always feel a downshift, and it feels amazing. So I usually do a 20-minute meditation. For me, 10 minutes isn't long enough. I sometimes do 30 if I can. I absolutely love it because I feel that downshift. During massage is another time. I try to treat myself to a monthly massage. And during that, I usually can feel my downshifting. When I'm sitting in front of a fire reading, I sometimes feel that shift. When I'm out in nature, I feel that shift. So actively pay attention, and you can see your body kind of physically let down. Maybe your shoulders relax, your jaw unclenches, your heart rate slows. I actually can tell that those things are happening because of this little ring that I'll talk more about, but it tells me when I'm meditating. It always asks me if I took a nap, which is funny because I know I'm not napping. I know I'm awake. So that's an awesome thing. So we need to physically know how to shift into that state, because all of those things that happen in terms of healing are happening in that parasympathetic state. So that is one body system we need to understand and take active control and active tactics to get ourselves shifted. Heart rate variability. A few of you heard me talk about heart rate variability. Now that is different than heart rate. So heart rate is just kind of like the number of beats per minute of your heart, where heart rate variability is actually the time between those beats. And it kind of is counterintuitive. You think you'd want that low and like a steady state, but you actually want it completely variable. That's a sign of resilience and stress resilience. So you actually wanted a higher number versus a lower number. A flat line is completely not good. That kind of means you're dead. So again, you want variability, heart rate variability, high equals good. And usually, I mean, when you do research, it says between 20 and 200. I think it's only the 20-year-olds that can even get close to 200. I never can get there. But, it is kind of what I use this ring, the Aura ring, to measure. Had it for 3 years. I know a lot of my clients ended up buying them, and I wish I got a commission, but I don't. So know that I'm not pushing it for a reason, just because I feel it's one of the tools that really has benefited me in terms of learning. And so heart rate variability is my stress resilience. And I usually, like on an average, I would say like my average is like 50 to 60. So it's okay. You'll see from the chart on the next page. I'm a type A. My downfall is a little bit the stress game. I am not a good relaxer. So I have to actively take ownership of that and try and get myself into that parasympathetic state. And I know what affects my HRV. I know that if I'm not on my game, it actually can go below 20. And I can wake up and just, be shot. So how do you improve your HRV? Again, that space between your heartbeats. Exercise definitely helps. Breathing exercises, meditation, as I mentioned, yoga. For me, the ones that totally put my HRV in the tank are late night eating, especially having a cocktail late night, no sleep, and then I don't know really about eating the inflammatory diet. So that might be one to track and be interesting too, but I can definitely tell if I'm eating late night and have a glass of wine or two with that late night dinner, my HRV the next morning is shot. So this is a picture I just took of my yesterday's HRV. So I just took a random day. My readiness score, which is a combination of a few things, on the Oura Ring, but including HRV and heart rate, but it also includes like yesterday's activities. So I was an 81, which is probably, a little less than my ideal, but it's okay. I was an 81, I think, mainly based on yesterday's activity the day before. So it was Tuesday because I was super active and I kind of thought I should maybe take it easy and chill. So the middle chart there is the actual HRV score, which I got a 59 average. I think it went up to like 90 something, but the average was 59, which is decent for me, about average. And then my heart rate, resting heart rate at night was 52. Usually on a normal, like when I don't late night eat, drink, sleep, and get a good night's sleep, it's usually around 50 to 52. So that's pretty average. Those are my average scores. Not great, but that's what it is. HRV is interesting because, as I show you in this chart, it's incredibly personal. So don't compare your HRV with somebody else's. Really, it is a personal metric. Here's a chart I took from the Whoop website, which is a wearable that you wear on your wrist to it's kind of like Whoop, the Oura Ring, but you wear it on your wrist to track your HRV. And as the unfortunate thing is, HRV does decline as you age. It's still going to vary wildly, and men versus women, fitness level, genetics, lifestyle, environment, all of those are going to play a factor. But I almost think of it like as a blueprint. It's going to be very unique to you. So what can you actively do? Are those things on the prior page to increase your HRV? I love to do a good breathing exercise after my meditation, and that I can definitely see how that impacts my heart rate and my HRV. So the next system that I wanted to touch on, the vagus nerve. So what happens in vagus, right? I mean, this is actually a very important nerve. It's one of our 12 cranial nerves. It runs from the base of our skull through our gut and then to some of our organs, kind of innervating, meaning bringing nerves to those organs. It's kind of a two-way street. Helps regulate hunger, your immune system, and definitely your stress response. So that's why I'm talking about today, because it is very, very critical in terms of your stress response. So it's responsible for your activating your parasympathetic or your relaxation response. So we want the vagus nerve stimulated. It's called, increasing your vagal tone. It's very interconnected with heart rate variability. So kind of you'll see that the things I recommend to increase vagal tone are also shown in increasing HRV. So those are they're very interconnected, but they are tools and body systems that we need to measure stress. So when you want your vagus nerve to be stronger, and those below are some of the things that, again, you can do to increase what's called vagal tone. Diaphragmatic breathing. So a lot of people like to do what's called box breathing. So like you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, and try and get into your deep belly in terms of that breathing. Cold thermogenesis. That is, like the cold, hot plunges, going from your sauna into a cold shower. I talked about a lot of this last year, if you watched last year's stress presentation or want to, because it's a tool for longevity. It's called hormesis. So kind of stress, but stress in a good way. So it's kind of brings your body back into balance. So there's tools, hormetic stressors that you can use to kind of actually improve your longevity and improve your stress response. And cold thermogenesis is one of them. I actually do this. Believe it or not, I hate the cold. It's always been terrifying to me. And I make myself. Many of you know I do have an infrared sauna. I was used in my healing journey from autoimmunity and Lyme disease. I use it still 4 or 5 times a week. So I'll do my infrared sauna and then I will go into a cold shower. It is torture. I have to talk myself into it every single time, but I do it quite frequently. And I feel fantastic after doing it. And that's that hormetic stressor. Improving gut health. So your gut is very connected to your food and mood, if you've ever heard me talk. So improving your gut health will improve vagal tone. Fasting, again, that's a form of hormetic stressor, kind of putting your body under that slight stress, but it comes back for resilience. Light exposure, getting light at the right times of day to help regulate circadian rhythms. And then another one that, I, I don't really do often because people would run from the room is humming, chanting, or singing. But that's why you hear people, chanting and do it, like if you say Om, like in a yoga class many times over, you're looking to improve your stress response and vagal tone. Again, I only do that in yoga class. I think even my dog and cat would run from the room if I tried to sing. So if you have a good voice or you can do that, great. It is a great tool to improve vagal tone. So putting the plan together, how do we take control of our stress and unleash our energy? As I said, you need to be actively doing this. Like, this is something you need to take ownership of. I think stress can really ruin and rule a life if you let it, especially if you tend to be kind of like me, maybe a little on the type A, a little bit kind of I don't know, I'm not an anxious person, I would say, but definitely can be prone to anxiety. So how do we manage our daily stressors? I have a plan in place. I've been actively fighting stress ever since I started my healing journey. So I can't say it was, one of the initial things I worked on, but it definitely has been playing a major role within the last at least 10 years. So I typically try to wake up. That's actually a little later than I used to wake up. I used to wake up really early, but as I age, I need a little more sleep. So I try and get my 8 hours. So I'm waking up between 5:30 and 6:30 and allowing myself plenty of time. I like to get up before my kids get up. I like to have a quiet cup of coffee. I like to do a little bit of reading. I don't reach for the phone. That's a big thing. I drink plenty of water. I have a warm beverage. I should say right now I'm reaching for my phone because I'm waiting for a Snapchat from my daughter who is, across the world. So I always just check my Snapchats to make sure that she's alive. Other than that, I try and keep the phone down. Getting my morning sunshine is critical. I know today, like when it's 1 degree out, I can't do it. So I did just sit in front of the window with a coffee this morning to try and get a little bit of sunshine. And I'll go out for an afternoon walk. But typically I am trying to get that morning sunshine on a walk. Morning exercise definitely is part of my big stress management. Without exercise, I would probably be a wreck. I have to move pretty much every single day, but it doesn't, as I said, need to be killing it in a gym. Today it was a yoga class. A lot of times it's a walk, but just getting outside and getting some movement in helps really start my day off. Exercise, blood sugar balancing smoothie, just making sure that morning meal is very blood sugar balancing. You do not want to spike your blood sugar first thing in the morning. It's going to set you up for kind of that roller coaster of an emotion day. Afternoon meditation. I can't say I do it every day. Lately, I have been pretty on my game and I'm loving it. So I do try and prioritize it, but some days it doesn't happen and I'm okay with that. I don't do a morning meditation as much anymore. I find my brain's too active and I can get more deep into my meditations around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Eating early is huge. For me, I prefer to eat around 6 o'clock and then not eat again. So my body is nice and digested. Again, this doesn't happen all the time. Weekends, it rarely happens, but during my best, when I can control, I like to eat around 6 o'clock. No late night beverages, the glass of wine, even a tea for me, because it'll wake me up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I try and stop eating and drinking right after dinner. You may be different, but as far as the late night wine, that is really gonna kind of set up your sleep. It's gonna dysregulate your sleep a bit, which will throw out your stress hormone. So typically trying to avoid late night drinking. Evening routine is very calming. Limited cell phone use. In fact, I try and put my cell phone to bed around 8 o'clock if I can. Dimming my lights, getting my body warm. Sometimes it's a warm bath, whatever it may be. I usually sit on a heating pad and then getting into bed and practicing a little bit of gratitude and going to bed by 10 p.m. I am so fun. Let me say, let me tell you. But truly, this leads me to say that I almost never get tired during the day. When I'm on my game, which is most of the time, following those kind of, line items, I never have energy dips. I have energy throughout the day, sustained energy. I feel good right up until I get into bed. So it's worth it to me to prioritize all those things because I've been there where it hasn't been that way. So again, those are just some tips and tools on managing our stress. I hope you guys realize that how critical it is to overall health and, energy and optimization. So cheers to your health. Here's to week 3. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you in the group. Take care.